first cat.
First cat.
Yay, Luke.
But not the last.
Hopefully.
Wait,
Certainly not.
is Handmaid still there?
Luke is like, okay,
Yes,
I've been
I can-
perceived. I'm
I can-
done.
I can slowly try and...
Everybody be very quiet.
There he is.
Hello, Void.
He
Second Void.
looks so...
Chill.
like-
He looks like he's looking directly at us, like.
Yeah.
Hi. We see you.
Am I allowed to touch your belly? No? No?
I'm astonished he isn't running away.
Leia's chilling by the door. She's getting her daily dose of vitamin D.
Okay, I will put the camera quickly away before he does run away. But he has this thing that if I'm talking to people, he assumes that there are guests.
You're crooked.
Oh. God damn it.
Yeah. Sorry.
I'm gonna be crooked the rest of it. But yeah, he has this thing. He always like he assumes that okay, Rhea is talking. There are other people in the room. I can't hear them, but surely that must be the reason why they're talking, which is suspicious. So I must hide.
But you were sneaky today, and we got a peek
Yes.
at him. So
Yes.
all right. Well, that was an impromptu beginning. We rushed going live so that we could see the Void Boys before they moved.
Yeah, I don't know where Luke ran off to.
How do I have this few pins? Clearly, when I bought this was a full thing of sewing pins. Where are they
As long
all
as they're not
going?
on the floor.
See, the pins
No.
are the same as socks. They just, randomly disappear until you have a box that has
I
nothing.
assumed I had a box full of pins, and I pulled them out, and it is not full.
Maybe you have a second box somewhere else that you're remembering.
Or you
maybe
have
Jamie's-
This is all the sewing stuff I have in this apartment.
Oh.
or you have a bunch of mendable stuff that have pins in them. Because
Oh,
that's
right.
usually what happens to me, is that I have this like stash of like I should have
I
pins
have a
and stuff,
feeling
and then they
that
just get
That these pins.
dispersed.
Bless you.
Gesundheit.
I have a feeling that these
Gesundheit.
pins disappeared at some point while I was in college, and I haven't used a bunch of them since, so I haven't really noticed. But this is going to use a ton of pins, and I don't know if I have enough.
I'll make
But your
do.
pirate hat looks great.
Thank you, except I
Okay.
keep squeezing it off.
All right. Should I start over? Or
Yeah.
should this be our beginning? It's gonna be one of those days. Hello, everybody. I see Joe is here. Hi, Glenn, Elise, Mr. Aurora, sorry. I still don't know if I'm saying your username correctly. Hello, everybody. It is a holiday weekend here in the US, and I don't know about you, but I've had a lot of free time and I'm still managed to be completely scatterbrained and gotten nothing done in the past couple of days. So you're just going to listen to me blabbing randomly and hoping that I keep on track today. If I don't keep on track, everybody else will just yell at me, so remind me. I hope everybody else is having as good of a weekend as I am, actually. So
Yes.
welcome to the May Stitch and Bitch. Once again, we waited until the very end of the month because man, there've been a lot of holiday weekends this month, and people have been busy, and this is when we managed to sneak it in. So yeah, May is almost over, June is on the horizon, and we are here to do our crafting or just do our bitching and, the usual. Do we want to go around and do the introductions, or do you think everybody already knows us?
Sure.
Sure, let's
Sure.
do that.
Raya, you get to go first.
Okay, well, I'm the token non-crafter this time around. So hey, I'm Reija. My channel is The Bookfinch, though lately I haven't been posting as much because, you know, life stuff. I hope that at some point I will come back with some content, but you know, I will just, you know, take my time with it. And in the meantime, you will just see me in the Stitch and Bitch live streams, which I really like doing. So, you know, meeting with friends and stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it for me. I'm just, you know, regular Reija here doing regular stuff. I'm just like I'm
Your hair is
prepared.
beautiful.
Yes, this is the temporary stuff. Next month we're doing the Summer Beast, as my hairdresser has called it.
The what?
She has dubbed my next hair project as the Summer Beast. We will have leopard print over on the shaved sides.
How do you do that with hair?
I don't know. She has planned that there's gonna be a leopard print gradient going along like the natural color, and then a rainbow. So we're gonna do that next time. But yeah, I'm just a little flabbergasted because like I don't have anything to craft because I finished the garment that I was making last time, which never happens. I never finish anything. So that's something that happened.
That's a good problem to have, actually finishing things. I would like to have that problem. Di, do you want to go next? And while you're at it, tell us what you're working on.
Sure. My name's Dana. My channel is Bookish Di. I should have something going up tomorrow because the audio on my initial April wrap up was really wonky, so I had to re-record it yesterday. So it is what it is. And then what I'm currently working on is I'm still working on the shawl.
That looks so nice, though.
Every time I see it, I'm like, it's so cool.
So yeah,
that is so satisfying.
I need to, after I finish this repeat of the pattern, I need to check my yarn because I might try to do one more repeat before working on the final product. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this is turning out.
It looks great. It's really pretty. All right, Kelsey.
Hi, I am at Fancy Hat Lady Reads on YouTube, where I am finally actually back in full booktube swing. I've posted 3 videos in the last couple weeks, including one that I posted just before we went live today, which is a double book review, which
Oh, I saw that.
I used to feel like I was known for the double book reviews, like they were my thing, and I realized I haven't actually posted one in 3 years, like a proper double book review.
Really?
So I am very excited to be making content for the internet. Yay. And I have to do them because I need to blow my nose, so I need to run.
Oh, okay. I will introduce myself then because I saved myself for last. I'm Rachel. This is my channel, Colonati. I am not actively making videos right now. So you'll mostly just see me in the Stitch and Bitch stuff and on Instagram, which right now is just going to be a whole bunch of weaving pictures because, yeah, that's my new passion.
And what a passion to have. I've been really enjoying all of your pictures, like just so nice, especially that rainbow. The whole rainbow thing.
I was in a second because I got them all off the loom actually. But anyway, what my craft today, yesterday I was in an all-day weaving class and I have mug rugs from them that I need to weave in the ends.
Ooh.
These two are kind of the same. One of these is a mistake. One of them is correct. And both of them are kind of awfully done, but I enjoyed it.
But they look really pretty.
Yeah. This is canvas weave. This is waffle weave, and it's very textured. I don't know if you can see that. And this is probably my favorite.
Ooh,
oh, that's
nice.
really pretty.
Yeah. It is a 4-shaft twill, which means I'll be able to do this one on my loom. So I'm going to be practicing that one. But anyway, I have a whole bunch of little ends I need to weave in, and then I need to wash these. So I figured I would get that done today while I am captive and I cannot avoid it because nobody likes weaving in ends.
No, I have like 4 different knitting projects where I do have to weave in the ends. And have I done them? No. Have they been hanging around for several years? Yes.
Yeah.
I have like 2 projects that I want to do another. Like, unfortunately, I can't show you the garment that I made because it's very revealing. So, but like I kind of want to start at some point. Not today. I'm not feeling it today because it requires a lot of counting. But I want to make another one in a different size and kind of try to do an approximation of like an in-between size between the L and the XL, because I feel like I'm kind of in between sizes. So I need to figure out how to like adjust the pattern, do the calculation so that it is the between sizes, because she offers only like the sizing based on like the standard like US like bra sizes, which it doesn't really like translate like 1-to-1 to my body type, obviously. So have to do some calculus, but that's something that I want to start at some point. But it's also like very boring to do like something that you already did. For me. my brain is like, we already did this thing. We don't want to do that again.
So you should
Not
do it in a different
immediately.
color or different yarn entirely, you know.
I mean, I could, but also black is nice.
I know you want it to be black because you are goth. Anyway, this is the other one.
Oh, that's so pretty.
Nice.
Ooh.
They are color gamps that show you it's intersection of 18 different colors, so you can see how they play with each other. This is twill, so it's got that really strong diagonal line in it.
That is really nice.
And then this is just the plain weave. So yeah.
Like, how
They're
thick
really
is
cool.
it? Like,
You
is
feel
it
like
is it
blankets. Awesome.
is it like something you could make a garment out of, or is it more like a shawl
These-
thickness?
No, these are like blanket shawl weight, but finer yarn, absolutely. I mean, that's definitely on my bucket list, is to be able to weave something fine enough to make like a blouse out of or something. But I have a ways to go. I'm not sure if I have a big enough loom to properly do that. I can only do 36 inches. Well, more like 34. So
Do you have like this? I know that in my town there are these places where you basically rent loom time. So you can use like these bigger looms. You just bring your own like materials, and then you.
I think that like weaving and craft guilds do that. I know that guilds often have equipment that you can rent or borrow for a specific amount of time. It's finding one near to you. Where I live, I think the nearest guild is an hour away.
That's not too bad.
So yes. Mug rugs. They're just coasters, but mug rugs, it rhymes. So yeah.
Did I miss my opportunity to talk about what I'm working on? Because
No,
Nope.
that's what you're working on.
Okay, so this is a continuation of the project that I was actually working on. I was saying this before we went live. When I was first invited on as like a guest for Stitch and Bitch, I dug through my closet and was like, I have to sew something. And what I was working on at the time was just like pleating this skirt that I made when I was in high school that never really fit. So it fits now. And then I wanted to add trim to it. But I needed, at the time we discussed what I was doing with the trim. I think I needed more trim. So I went and bought more trim, but then I never did anything with it. So I am adding this trim.
Ooh.
That is
That's really pretty
stunning
trim.
gorgeous.
Oh, I like
and
it.
right now I'm just pinning it on. This month, I did my ironing before going live to start sewing.
You've
So,
learned,
hopefully
you've
there will
learned so
be
much.
no mistakes. And like why I want this skirt to have this trim on it this summer was because I bought a beautiful new pink blouse that's going to look gorgeous with this trim. And I also bought this new sun hat that is also going to look gorgeous with this trim. So like I have the outfit that I want to wear this skirt with, but I need to finish putting the trim on.
I mean, if you want, you could also like put the trim on the hat.
The hat is very versatile as it is. It goes with kind of everything. But yes, I don't know how much of the trim I'll have left. Given that I bought it several years ago, or not several years ago, like a year ago, last year. When was that? I don't know that there's any more to be had if I need more.
Well, something to think about if there's any left afterward.
Yeah. The hat is already nicely trimmed. It has a little bow in the back.
Yeah.
Mm.
But it would be excellent if it was like a removable bow, so you could like use
Like-
trim to customize the hat for.
Or just like a second band
Yeah.
that could go, well, the bow is tucked down, so I can't really get the trim under the edges of the bow, but it's a beautiful color match.
Yep.
Gorgeous.
It is really cool. Yeah.
I love this trim, and this skirt is very boring on its own. So
What? No.
it is. It was like I made it in high school from like the simplest pattern I could buy at Joann's because I was learning how to use a sewing machine. And it didn't fit because the smallest size on the pattern was way too big for me. So
I've never been on that end of that problem.
the skirt has been a work in progress my entire adult life.
My eyes are just drawn to Luke.
When the outfit is done and you're wearing it, I expect pictures so that
Yes.
we can ooh and ah.
Yes, you will get pictures.
Luke looks like a little paperweight, just like
He's being a gargoyle.
But this is going to be like a big project because I don't have a sewing machine because it won't fit in my apartment. And I don't sew that much. So I'm going to be hand sewing this, which is probably better for putting on this trim because it would look bad with machine sewing, whereas if I hand sew it, I can make the stitches not visible particularly.
yeah, and you might also want to use like a longer whip stitch because like the thing is that when you move and stuff, depending on the length of the stitch, it might not stretch enough so that it like the trim will get puckered more easily with a machine sewn stitch. Or rather, if you would be machine sewing it down, then it would need a longer stitch length and also like a looser stitch.
Yeah. So I will be hand sewing it. So this might be like an extended long project. I do hope to get it done for this summer though.
Well, summer is barely started, so.
Yeah.
Technically hasn't started yet. We haven't reached the solstice.
Is it June 21st or 22nd or something?
23rd.
Oh, 23rd.
Oh, it's a late solstice this year.
Yeah, 23rd is the Midsummer Solstice Eve, and 24th is the actual solstice. I know, because it is an actual holiday here.
Lucky. It really feels like summer already here. It's been so warm.
Yes.
Mother's Day weekend was like very hot for us. Like it was in the 90s. And it wasn't, and it was also hot because normally the coast is like a good 10 to 20 degrees cooler, especially during the summer, and it wasn't like that over Mother's Day weekend. It was also disgustingly hot on the coast.
Yeah, we've had this very, very weird weather pattern of like just tepid and warm, and then just raining.
I would
Cats and
like that.
dogs.
Can you please send that my way?
You can have it. I would much rather have the drier with. Okay, let's put it this way. Now that the pollen season is mostly like done for the birch, now I'm ready for the nice warm sunny weather. Previously I was actually quite happy about the rain because me and the pollen are not friends.
It seems like it's been a really bad pollen allergy year for everyone everywhere.
Yeah,
it's been
So was
horrible here.
last year.
Hmm?
So was last year.
It was bad last year, but it wasn't quite this
Yeah.
bad, or at least where I am.
Last year I could do with over-the-counter medicine. This year I had to go and get like actual like prescription allergy drugs and eye drops to like get past the thing. Last year it was just like, yeah, take some Zyrtec and you'll be fine. It's nothing to worry about. This year it's been like, and this year I found out that there are like male and female trees.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the reason why like the pollen is so bad because the male pollen is so potent, and because the male trees look more majestic, they tend to plant those in cities.
So this
So
is not always true.
No, partially it's the fruit problem as well. So like cherry trees, for example, like part of the reason they probably plant more male trees is because they don't want to deal with the female trees.
It is also like not all species of trees.
No, in Finland this pertains specifically to birch.
Okay, yeah. Because like here, most trees aren't most trees aren't the type that have male and female, because like if you think of most like plants, they don't, like the flower has both male and female parts, but only with some species of trees. Like here it's the ginkgos, where if you have a female ginkgo tree, like there are a bunch of them in my neighborhood that drop their smelly, stinky fruits every year and clog up the pathway, and it stinks as they rot.
Here it's crab apples, because I mean the crab apples are so beautiful. They bloom in the spring. They're absolutely gorgeous. But some people, it's not as frequent now, but some people plant the larger crab apples, and then you just have rotting fruit in people's front yards all the time. So
yeah, we don't get the fruit trees here as much. Like the closest are like the cherry trees, but we get the like we get the like Japanese cherry trees that don't really like, they don't bear fruit the same way.
Mm-hmm. I think that where I live, the city ordinances have changed. So they've actually kind of banned the planting of certain trees like the crab apples, so that you don't have as much cleanup to do, or you can only plant them in certain areas. So
the trees that I hate the most are those disgusting like Bradford pear trees that smell like ass.
I've never been near one of those.
Where I grew up, there were a ton of them, and like I never got really bad allergies from them, but my mom did, and so every spring, she like as soon as those pear trees would start blooming, she would just start dying.
Yeah, for me, it's basically like from the moment the first willows start like blooming, it's like downhill from there up until August, when the last piece of grass has finished like doing its thing, because I'm allergic to both the tree pollen and like the grass, which is apparently very common in like if you have any sort of like autoimmune condition. Usually allergies kind of, because allergies themselves are an autoimmune condition, they kind of exacerbate each other. So that's like, yay! fantastic. But also like willows in, I don't know if it's like an Easter tradition in like the United States, like the willow kittens. Like is that a thing elsewhere?
What?
The willow kittens. Like you get willow branches and you make like this little Easter like wands out of them, and then you dress up as witches and you go and bless elderly folk for their health.
is
And
not a
Definitely not a thing here.
But here,
but they're called in Finnish, they're called pajunkissa, so the willow kittens, because the little like furry like blooms look like little kittens.
yeah, that wasn't a thing
Catkins?
for us.
Yeah, like-
Yes, in English they are called catkins, aren't they? But
Yeah, I think
that's like fairly obscure terminology. Most people
Okay.
don't know it.
Here it's the thing, you usually get like Easter cards that have the art where the catkins are drawn like little kittens with blush and everything. And they're really cute. But then when they turn feral and they get like really like fluffy and start like spreading the pollen, that's when they stop being cute and they are just aggressive and all the trees choose violence.
Mm-hmm.
I shared with you
At
the
least
stuff.
the cotton fluff. It is that season here, and a couple of days ago, it looked like it was snowing. There was
Man,
so
don't-
much of it in the air.
Don't eat my needles.
They probably don't taste very good.
You would think, but this is the face of a menace.
I love her.
Yeah, I
If-
just
if
sent you
all
guys.
if all Menace would look like Leia, I would be much more like agreeable to have Menace in my life.
Well, she's gonna be mad at me in like 10 minutes when I have to go fold my sourdough dough. So I looked up the Bradford pear tree on Wikipedia, and in the like summary paragraph, they note the offensive odor of those trees.
Oh. It is most commonly known for its Gossamer Bradford and its offensive odor, widely planted throughout the United States and increasingly regarded as an invasive
Wow.
species. Lovely. It looks very cute. Like it's very nice though.
Oh, with an odor often compared to rotting fish.
Ugh.
Oh my
I wasn't joking when I was talking about these disgusting ass trees.
god! Oh my god!
Yeah, rotting fish is not something that I necessarily want to smell just on the air as I'm taking a stroll.
Well,
they
and,
treat
like-
these as ornamentals. Oh my god!
Yeah, and so like you'd be driving down like one of the main streets where I grew up, and there would be all these fucking trees everywhere, and they'd all be blossoming, and the air would be disgusting, and people would be sneezing because they release so much pollen.
Oh my gosh!
Dear God. Do we want to move on from trees to things that
Yes.
are made of trees and talk about what we are reading?
Yes. What is everybody reading? Who wants to go first?
Kelsey, you had your double review. Do you want to talk a little bit about
I
what you've been
did.
reading?
Those aren't necessarily things that I most recently read, although one of them is. The first book I reviewed in that double book review was Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, which I read back in January when it was released. And that is so far my only 5-star read of the year so far.
I was just gonna ask that. Isn't that like something that you really enjoyed? Because I have
Yes.
this vague memory of you really liking it.
I need to
Yes,
read that.
because the way I do double book reviews is I sort of like I write the review on Goodreads, and then if there's time between when I read the two books, you know, my Goodreads review might sit there for a while before I get around to reviewing the second one and making a video. So like my review of that has been up on Goodreads for a good long while.
But usually what I like about your double reviews is that you kind of find like themes between
Right.
like
So
similarities between the books. Like that's what I've always liked.
these were both historical fantasy novels set in comparable time periods. The other one was The Magician's Daughter by H.G. Perry, which is the one that I have just written my review for last weekend. That was a 4-star read for me. I talk in my review a little bit about, what I liked about it, but also why I don't think it'll be a super memorable book for me. It's not like a standout of the historical fantasy genre to me personally, but I enjoyed it. And definitely there are people I would recommend it to. And then...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, go finish.
Oh, and then I was just saying that because I'm on a video making spree, I'm kind of not on a reading spree. Like I kind of can't focus on both at the same time. So I'm paused in everything that I was reading. And there are so many things I want to pick up, but I want to finish some of the things I'm theoretically in the middle of first.
Have you made any progress on A Song for a New Day?
I read a few more pages. And that's like all I'm doing is I'm picking up books and reading a few pages and like that's it. But I'm making videos.
Wait, Song for a New Day by Sarah Pinsker, right?
Yeah.
Right, we've been buddy
I have it. I have it on my shelf somewhere. I should probably be reading it at some point. But
Rachel
I've been reading another thing.
Reading this book for months.
I did finish it.
You did finish it.
I did finish it.
You did not tell me you had
I did not know because I am an absolute terrible friend.
Kelsey, if it's any consolation, Rachel has finished Assassin of Reality ages ago, and I'm still trudging behind like the little gremlin I am. So like if it's any consolation, like you're not alone in being an inadequate buddy reader.
Do you want to read some Kingfisher with me?
Who?
Yes,
Who are you
asking?
Which Kingfisher?
Which Kingfisher?
House with Good Bones.
Oh.
Oh no, I don't want to read that one, but I have Illuminations out from the library.
I haven't read Illuminations either. Has
Illuminations. Let me check the thing.
I can't believe I've been sitting on multiple Kingfisher books and I haven't even cracked them open yet.
See, I'm just blanket not reading the horror novels, so that helps with the manageability of the TBR.
Speaking of, that's actually a good reminder that when I get paid on Wednesday, I need to pre-order her new book.
Thornhedge or the sequel to What Moves the Dead?
Thornhedge.
Okay.
See, Illuminations is in script as an ebook, so I might actually like join you for buddy reading that. But also like I'm on a T. Kingfisher kick because I finished Nettle and Bone some time ago. I think it was in April, and I really loved it. Like that has been one of my like five-star reads.
Yes, yay, join the club.
Yeah.
Also, the romance in that book was like, well, thank you.
Have you read any of her Paladin romances?
No.
Okay, so I may be...
There is a type of romance that is a T. Kingfisher romance.
I'm the odd person out in that I did not actually love Nettle and Bone. I liked aspects of it, and the parts that I really enjoyed were the slightly more watered down topics and themes that she goes like full in on in her other books. And the entire time I was reading Nettle and Bone, I was like, so basically I just want to go back and read the Paladin romances because that's what the relationship dynamic is in this one.
Yeah, I want more of that relationship dynamic. Thank you.
And I mean the demon chicken and
yes. I mean, I also just like really liked all of the old characters. Like I have this thing, like if there's an old character, I just like, no matter what gender they are, usually the old characters are the ones that I'm like, I relate to this.
Like the Dust Wife?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I just relate to that kind of like sarcastic, take no nonsense, like no bullshit from others, like thing. It is aspirational to me. I want to have that level of not giving a shit. about what other people think. So I just find those kinds of characters really fun.
I don't aspire to be like cranky grandmother, but I want that like I'm too tired for this auntie thing.
Yes. Well, I mean, I don't aspire to be cranky. I already am. But I just want all the rest of the things that are associated with it.
Same. So what else are you in the middle of right now, Kelsey? I know Song for a New Day is one.
When I went on a trip to Boston last weekend, I brought with me my Kindle, where I started reading one of the anthologies that I was reading for, like, I was doing those anthology videos where I'm like, I'm not committing to finishing this book on any time period. I'm just going to review 5 stories at a time. Mm-hmm. So the first one of those that I started reading and never finished was the anthology, The Green Man, Tales from the Mythic Forest, which is one of like the Ellen Datlow, Terry Windling anthologies from way back when. So that is what I started reading again. I read like 2 stories of it from it on the train, and I will maybe read enough of them to do another video of like another batch of stories from that anthology, but I still make no promises to ever finish it. Then I'm very close to the end of Osmo Unknown, but I put it aside when I was moving on to try to find other things to nominate for the Hugo Awards before the nomination deadline closed. And so I was like out of it then, and I haven't been able to really get back into it, but I'm very close to the end. I should be able to just finish it. And
I'm curious for a review of that one, because I don't know. I feel like I've kind of fallen out of reading Valente's stuff, and yet they're
I seem to always like read Valente when the nomination like shortlists come out, because she always has something pops up in some shortlist somewhere, and then I read a Valente story, but I never seem to like keep up.
Usually like her short fiction that ends up on award shortlist, and I don't really like her short fiction very much. I like her novels better.
See, the thing is, recently one of her short fiction that I actually quite liked was the retelling of Eurydice and Orpheus that she did.
Oh, I liked that one. Yeah.
I mean, it was also, well, for me, it was also like, it wasn't very subtle with its like messaging about being a sort of in a caregiver role to someone, like dealing with a chronic illness. But I was reading it and I was like, oh yes, this hits home in so many levels. Like, this is relatable, but like in all the ways that it shouldn't. But like I just really thought that the way that it presented the various gods and stuff was pretty excellent. I'm always like, when Apollo enters the picture and is a complete asshole, I'm like, yes, this makes perfect sense. My fantasy.
Yep.
Really quickly here, Elise read Witch King already. That book is out.
I think it comes out this week.
Yeah, it comes out this week. There's arcs.
I love hearing that. I mean, Raksura is good.
If it's more like Raksura, thank you, because those are my favorite Martha Wells. Everyone can go and cry about Murder Boat. For me, my Murder Lizard Babies are where it's at.
Illumicrate is doing a version of it, and I am incredibly excited to get my hands on it. Also, Kelsey, I need to read Emily Wilde, mostly because Fairy Loot did a version of it.
Oh, that cover looks pretty.
Why do you get all the really pretty editions? Darn it.
All the subscription boxes.
Yeah, because I decided that I deserved a little treat, and my little treat is the book subscription boxes. So,
I decided also, on a completely random note, that I deserve a little treat. So me and my friend booked flights to New Zealand.
Woo!
What?
Yes.
What?
Yes. So I'm going
When?
this Christmas.
Nice.
Oh my god.
We're basically going there for 3 weeks.
Oh, that'll
So-
be fun.
Dang,
Because-
I want to
Because
go.
I was like, I want to go, and we had that whole like for Con Zealand and everything. We had everything planned and like stuff, and then I'm like, okay, but when am I gonna make it actually like happen? And it's like it becomes like the more people are getting, like families and stuff, it becomes more and more difficult to organize it. So I was like, okay, just I was asking like a friend, like, hey, are you doing anything? And she's like, no, not particularly. Okay, let's go. Now we're gonna do it. Like with the two of us, it's easier to plan because there's
Yeah.
like
Oh my god, I am so insanely jealous.
I-
Someday I'll make it.
let's put it this way. I think that my Instagram, when I go on the trip, will just turn into New Zealand travel blog for
Mm,
the entirety of the trip.
that's gonna be awesome.
Also, Ramsey, the Stitch and Bitch Isengard trip is gonna happen in Scotland
Yeah.
next year also. At
I've
I've
least
already
for
been sent
at least
items
for
for
some
our
of us.
itinerary. We're going to Lord of the Rings themed things.
Yeah, I'm
Yes,
really
there
excited
is
about
there
doing
is
it.
a pub. There is a Lord of the Rings pub in Scotland that I have looked up, and it looks nice.
Still
I'm
have to
really
watch
sad I'm
those
not going to
movies.
Glasgow, but like my dossier is due like 2 weeks after Worldcon, and I know myself and I won't have it done by then, and I'll just be like this very stressed out person and not fun to be around. If it was Labor Day, I'd totally go, but it's too
I
early.
think it's early, like late June, late July, early August.
No, it's around my birthday in early August. Like if
Well-
it literally was like 2 weeks later, like at the very end of August, I probably would go because that would give me the motivation to finish my dossier like a week early and turn it in. But like, I don't want to deal with my dossier in Scotland.
I think that's completely understandable.
Maybe we should do 2025 New Zealand.
Well, okay, so 2025 Worldcon is probably going to be Seattle, and I want
that's
you to
right.
come
Right.
Of course.
because we can go whale watching. We can go see the orcas.
Watch
Yay.
orcas capsize ships because that's what they are doing nowadays, I
Not-
guess.
Not the
For
Puget
good reason,
Sound orcas.
apparently.
No, those ones are in Spain, right?
Yeah, the Puget Sound orcas are pretty chill around boats. But that's because the Puget Sound boats respect them.
I was gonna say, if orcas are attacking your boat, I mean, you did something to them and you deserve it.
I mean, I definitely already have earmarked Seattle for 2025. And that's like, okay, this is another time where I'm going to be seeing all of the friends.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so the other thing about Seattle is, and Kelsey, you can probably corroborate, is Seattle is a 4-ish, 5-ish hour train ride to Portland.
This is true.
So we could do a trip down to, I mean, I live nearer to Portland than Seattle, but like we could all go down to Portland and go to Powell's and like have,
There are also some very good bookstores in Seattle.
there are, but
I also hear, at least from what I hear on the booktubers who live in Seattle, that there's a lot of nature in Seattle and around Seattle.
Yes,
Is this rumor
is.
correct?
yes.
So for anyone who does not know, I am from Seattle. It's where I grew up. So I'm like very looking forward to potential Worldcon in Seattle being your local tour guide.
Should we plan a 2-week trip in Seattle and
Why
Portland?
not? Why not?
I am so down for that, especially because I want to see the nature. I have never been in that part of the country. I've never been anywhere.
There are
close to the
very
Pacific Northwest.
beautiful places to go for the nature, depending on how far outside the city proper you want to go.
See, lately
I'm
I
down
have
for anything as long as there's public transportation because I'm not
Like if
driving.
you want to see
Yes.
a temperate rainforest, you can go see one on the Olympic Peninsula. that's a bit of a journey, but maybe worth it. Like I haven't been to like the
What was that?
It was
that
her.
part of the state since I was in school and we had to go on hiking trips that I despised, but it's beautiful out there.
See, that's the thing. Now that I'm getting older, I have found my hike-loving, windbreaker-wearing like self, and now I'm just planning all of my trips to include a hike somewhere there. Which is also probably what I'm going to be obnoxious about when we go to Scotland. Is that I want to
We
have a
have to-
hike.
We have to be outside. We have to take a hike, like when we went to House whatever in Ireland, because that
Yeah,
was
that's
like,
the thing in
one of the
Ireland that I'm
best
still
parts of it.
envious about that
Oh.
you got to do, and I didn't go
Af-
on the hike.
After
I
we
also
got back
missed
from
the
that,
hike. I don't
everyone was
remember
like,
why.
"Why didn't we plan more excursions outside of the city?" Because that was like one of the highlights.
I will say, in terms of like driving, I'd be fine. Like maybe not in Seattle, but like if we were doing excursions outside of Seattle, might just bring my car up.
I'll
We
contribute the
will
gas
probably
money.
also have access to at least one of my dad's cars.
Yeah.
So that's a thing. He has multiple.
So you
Man,
guys ride.
stop pushing on my laptop.
What?
So you
Oh,
drive on the right
okay.
side of the thing, right?
Correct.
Mhm.
I'm not necessarily comfortable driving. I'm
I
just
am.
going to state that, but I have access to cars in Seattle.
I like driving, weirdly enough. So I would be fine with being the driver.
Okay.
I can drive if there's automatic shifts. I mean, I can drive clutch in an emergency, but like it's not
I'm-
my preferred method. And if the driving is on the
No.
right side,
No.
because I do have a driver's license.
Sorry. This menace just gave me a very sharp love bite.
Beautiful
What?
menace.
Are you just like not paying attention to her?
I don't know what's going on with her, but no, I like driving. I can do clutch or automatic. My biggest sadness is I wasn't able to get a clutch for my car when I was buying it because I actually prefer driving manual.
I hate clutch driving so much.
I learned how to
We were
drive.
talking
know.
about
Yeah, I learned how to drive on a clutch, and I like having more control over the car.
I just get scared because like I've drove like my mom's car has this like really sensitive clutch, so you don't have to do much and it's already like responding. Whereas then I drove my like ex's mom's old like Volkswagen Golf, and that had the worst clutch. Like you had to let it all the way up before the car would like start, and then it would just like steamroll like through everything. And I was so scared every single time I had to drive that car. I was like please no, I don't want to do this.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, I guess I'm going to deal with my insane jealousy of your New Zealand trip by planning Glasgow and Seattle. Because
I will take lots of pictures and video. I will send a postcard. I will buy you opossum yarn and bring it to Glasgow because I heard that they have opossum yarn.
Opossum yarn. There is a hand dyer in New Zealand. I think Dark Harbor or something. For a while there I saw nothing but her hand dyed yarns on Ravelry, and I was like, I need that, but I could never afford to actually buy it from New Zealand and get it shipped.
I mean, the shipping is a lot. But yeah, my friend or coworker went to New Zealand, and she's told me that there's this thing that because like opossums are like an invasive species in New Zealand, so they're trying to get rid of them. So you have like these bunch of different like opossum related specialties, like opossum yarn, that you can only get in New Zealand.
Is their fur soft?
Apparently, like they do stuff with it, and you can get opossum jerky and opossum meats and stuff like that. They use every bit of the possum, I think. But this was news to me. I was like, oh, opossum yarn just sounds so random that I kind of like want to get that yarn. Like it's similar to like merino wool.
I would say
kind
it's
of.
got to be very short, which means
Yeah.
it would be like spinning merino or even like cotton. So it must
Yeah.
be very fine.
Yeah. So I was thinking like I could make like opossum gloves, like fingerless possum gloves. Even
Yeah.
better if I can make them look like a possum,
Add
so
little
that when you put
claws
them
to
on your
them.
hand, you had like the snout and everything and little ears, and then you had possums on your hands.
Incredible.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so
Kelsey, did you have anything else you were
yeah.
reading?
I have anything else I was reading?
We were talking about your like anthology, and then it just spiraled somewhere.
We'll be back to talking about Worldcon stuff too in a little bit, I'm sure. But
Yes.
yeah.
So I don't know. Oh, I want to go back to reading another book I started reading in the winter and put aside because I was like, I can't actually read this in the winter despite it being a wintry book, which was another middle grade novel that I've had for several years, The Way Past Winter by Kieran Millwood Hargrave. It's another like historical fantasy, but it's a wintry. And I started reading it and I was like, this is too cold to read in the winter. I need to read this in the summer. So that's another one that's on the currently reading shelf that I want to finish one of those or more before I forget something else. But that's the end. That's the end of my list.
All right.
Who else is reading something?
Me.
What
I
are
think
you
that's
reading?
sponsored myself. So I'm in the middle of like several different books. So I'm about 2/3 of the way through Venko by Sherry DeMoline. So she is a Métis author out of Canada, and this is like a modern witchcraft book where it follows a young Indigenous woman, Lucky St. James, and her grandmother who has dementia. Lucky is her caretaker. And she discovers that she's a witch, and she gets brought into the coven and is trying to find the final witch and stay ahead of a witch hunter who's trying to break the coven. And I like the characters, but I think in terms of like a modern coven plot, I preferred Her Majesty's Royal Coven by Juno Dawson. And part of that is it feels very like a little too sunshine and rainbows in Venko. Like there's no friction. Everything is pretty smooth. And for me, at least, it doesn't quite work, but I really like DeMoline's character work with Lucky and her grandma. Like the relationship between Lucky and Stella is my favorite part about this book. I also yesterday just started the audiobook for the second Aru Shah book, so Aru Shah and the Song of Death, which is delightful. I really like Roshni Chakshi's middle grade work. And that book was on my series that series is on my series TBR for this year, so I'm hoping to maybe finish the quintet. And then the book that I'm currently reading and struggling with is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarrow. It is that super hype dragon book.
I've heard things about this on TikTok.
It's not good.
There's a new.
I've heard
is
it's
this
not
a new
good.
dragon? Is this
So
a
here's
new
the
dragon
thing,
book?
like, this book has like a 4.75 on Goodreads or something absurd like that.
Wait, what's the
Never
name?
believe it
Fourth
when the
Wing.
ratings are that
No,
high.
and like, so the title is Fourth Wing, and the premise so it's a new imprint by Entangled, and it's basically to do YA but sexy, but it's like, it's insulting
Oh
YA.
God, imprint of what publisher?
Entangled.
Oh, okay. I've
It's
never
read
heard of them. I've literally never heard of this publisher.
Yeah, Entangled Publishing LLC, Red Tower Books.
Yeah, so it's a new LLC. Anyway, calling it YA but sexy, one, is an insult to YA because I've read much better YA than this book. And 2, YA but sexy gives the same vibes as barely legal, derogatory.
Oh.
And
I just watched a video essay about this topic, and which was insightful, but like also great ick.
like
Great
barely
ick.
was it barely legal or YA but sexy?
Barely legal was the video essay, but it touched upon this whole like, you know, objectifying, you know, youngsters.
So
Yeah,
is this
young
literally the
people.
first book from this problematic imprint, or
Yes.
are there others? So people are like judging the
So basically,
imprint and its mission statement along sort of with their first book.
Yeah,
So-
and like they're definitely cashing in on this like the Leia on like the fantasy romance like the indie fantasy romance trends, but so I have like many problems with this book. The dragons are great. I will say the dragons are the only thing that is saving this book for me right now. I like the dragons a lot, but also I just got to the part where there's like a mating bond between dragons, and like the dragon riders who are bonded to the dragons who are mated like get the blowback of when the dragons are having sexy times. So it's like I see that dragon riders of Pern influence there.
Oh,
I was just about to say that I see some.
Like
I
that
see
sounds
some
like
Anne
a book I
McCaffrey.
read once.
I was just about to say that Anne McCaffrey is like.
Yeah, like it is definitely like I too read Anne McCaffrey, and I know where you're coming from. But so my main so like I have a lot of problems, but like my main one is the character work is just so shallow. And by that I don't mean like the like the you know how sometimes we say shallow and they're worried about superficial things. What here I mean shallow, like they have no depth. Like we are told things about these characters that aren't backed up by the text. Like we're told that Violet is the main character is like really smart and like would have made a great scribe, but now she was forced into becoming a dragon rider by her mom. And we never get the type of internal thought process that I would expect from someone who is described as smart, which is, why is my mom trying to kill me? Because she's disabled. And so we get nothing about like why her mom is trying to do this, except, oh, my mom just doesn't want to scribe as a daughter, even though she married a scribe. So like the question of like, why is her mom forcing to do this? And then we get some parts where we get information that like things aren't going as well in the war as the writer trainees are being told, or like they're not getting the full picture of things. And we get nothing of Violet being like, okay, this is weird, what's going on? She's like, oh, well, I guess this is just classified. I mean, maybe we're not allowed to see. And it's just, it's really frustrating. And then also the romance is not working for me. It's like, oh my God, he wants to kill me. He wants to kill me, but he's so sexy. Oh, my scalp tingles when he's near. And it's like, I can't tell.
Scalp tingles. Scalp.
Oh, yeah. Like I would say take a drink every time her scalp tingles, but you get drunk real fucking fast.
I'm just saying that, you know, that's a very specific point of itch. Like, like I've heard of like, you know, chest flutters and fingers tingling, but scalp tingling, that's a new.
That's weird. It's weird.
I was not thinking that someday that the bucket list or the checklist, the bingo card for 2023 was going to be make scalp tingling sexy.
It's weird. It's really fucking weird. So yeah, I'm about 60% of the way through. I'm doing it for a video project where I'm reading like 3 different Dragon Academy books, because another Dragon Academy book came out like the same week called To Shape a Dragon's Breath by
I've heard of this one.
By Monica Blackgoose, and she's an Indigenous writer, and it's like,
oh, I've heard of this.
Alternate history, and it just sounded really cool. And so I was like, okay, so why is I kind of wanted to read and compare it.
So what's your third dragon book?
With Fourth Wing. And then I was watching a video review of Fourth Wing, and someone was comparing it to Fireborn by Rosaria Munda, who
yes, the communist revolution with dragons. Yes.
Yeah, and Jenny loves that. Jenny from Reading the End loves that series. So I'm like, okay, you know, maybe I'll add this into the list of like Dragon Academy books, because that one is actually YA. So because To Shape a Dragon's Breath is adult, but it's not trying to be YA but sexy. and then we have the YA but sexy Fourth Wing, and then we have the actual YA Fireborn. So that will probably be coming out in June.
So are there any other oh wait, I already the fourth. What was the imprint again for the Fourth
Red
Wing?
Tower.
Red Tower.
They have another book coming out, I think next or later this year, from Tracy Wolf.
Yeah, Fourth Wing. Subsequent titles including Starbringer from Tracy Wolf and Nina Croft, The Wren in the Holly Library by K.A. Linde, and Bloodguard. Are these all supposed to be YA but sexy?
I feel like that's what the imprint is going for, is like that romantic.
Like, are they explicitly a new adult imprint? Like,
I think they are.
Okay.
The aim is for the imprint to offer explosive cinematic news stories and develop an audience around the works of authors in the same vein as romantic authors Leigh Bardugo, Tracy Dion, and Sarah J. Maas.
I don't think of Leigh Bardugo as a romantic author.
Me neither.
No, and like Leigh Bardugo isn't perfect, but she's a much better writer than Rebecca Yarros.
Red Tower Books is dedicated to delivering standout fantasy and sci-fi romance from some of the most talented writers of today.
What Leigh Bardugo is an author who has a fandom that's very into some of the romance plot lines in her book.
Yes.
You can't like reverse engineer that and say that means that the books themselves are like really romantic.
Yeah, like they have, like there's a romantic element to, like in Six of Crows, there's romantic elements to it, but they're not romance first.
Yeah.
Right.
I
guess I haven't read her adult books.
I read Ninth House, and I know, and for me, I liked it. I know, and I didn't pick this up when I read it, but there is some racist element. Like Bardugo's not great on race. But for me, I liked it. It hit what it was what I was looking for in the book. But I haven't read the sequel yet.
I'm just trying not to make the obvious Leonardo DiCaprio joke about this imprint. Because that's where my mind goes whenever someone says barely legal or YA but sexy. It's like
I swear to God, it is the same energy, except like it's a lot of like women in their like older women who are doing this, and I'm just like, guys, you would be up in arms if it was dudes doing this. Like, what are you doing?
Someone asked when the long list is coming out, or is it coming out?
So shortlist is coming out early June. We don't have a specific date yet.
We should say Chengdu has said on Twitter that it's coming in early June.
Yes, and we know to take some of the,
Will that actually happen, or will it be delayed like 3 times?
That said, the long list is usually published after the voting.
Yeah, long list comes out once the winners are revealed.
Yes. But yeah, Chengdu has said that early June, whenever that will be. It could be in the next couple of weeks.
I'm hoping more mid-June, because I'm going to be traveling early June.
Yeah. We'll see. We want to do a live show, but I'm just not sure if everybody's going to have the same weekends open.
Yeah.
We might have to do like maybe a evening one or something, like a weekend or a weekday or something.
Yeah, it depends when it comes out.
Yeah.
That said, I'm actually really interested to see what the shortlist will hold, because like I would be very surprised if there wasn't like a lot of, like, especially in the short fiction category, if like there wasn't a lot of like Chinese short stories.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what ends up on the short list this year.
I will say this, if it does end up being quite a few things that I don't know, I would like some time to be able to like research some of them before talking about them. So yeah.
Di, did you have anything else on your reading docket?
Oh, I did read a sci-fi book recently, Velocity Weapon by Megan O'Keefe. It was fun. I liked it. It's about two siblings, and when it starts, one of them is in like the political sphere and one of them's in the military sphere. And the sister who's the military person, she was in a battle. She had to eject from her ship, and she wakes up like 200 years in the future on this AI ship, and her world is gone, and she's trying to figure out what's going on. And then we also get her brother's timeline, and there's a third point of view, which is pretty disconnected from the main everyone else. But I think it will tie in more in book 2 based on how it ends. But yeah, this was fun. I would say if you're looking for like space opera type thing, check it out.
So I think I didn't get far enough into that one to get to the good bits because I tried reading Velocity Weapon some time ago and I didn't get past like page 5.
Yeah, so I would say it's like, I think starting like a third is when reveals start happening.
Page 5 is a very early DNF.
Hey, I either DNF things very, very quickly so early that I don't even count them as currently reading, or I don't DNF them at all. I'm not really good at it in between.
Yeah, same, to be honest. I'm too much of a completionist to really DNF. Oh, I did. Oh, yeah, I did DNF one book recently, which was really sad because I was kind of looking forward to it. So it was Sleepless, called like the book is called Sleepless, and it's by Victor Manibo, who is a Filipino author. And the whole idea of the book is that there is this kind of pandemic going on, that people are just like losing the ability to sleep essentially, and then it's like they are unable to sleep, and there's like these new technologies that are basically like coming in, like these meditations and like what's the word, like the sensory deprivation tanks and stuff, so that they can get like this sort of like idea of rest, but they are not actually physically able to sleep. And I was reading that, and the science, first of all, in that book is completely and utterly like because seriously, you can't tell me, in like, even if the book is fiction, you can't tell me that there is no negative benefits for sleeplessness. Yes, there are. We have scientific data from dating back for how many decades of what sleep deprivation does to people. So that was like when they're saying like, yeah, sleeplessness doesn't cause any like negative benefits. Like, says who?
There are people who die from sleep deprivation. Like, come on, oh my god.
And then there's this whole idea that, which I was like, that the sleepless people are like experiencing like hate attacks, which, having just like recently read How to Survive a Plague about the AIDS epidemic, there was so many like really uncomfortable parallels to the AIDS crisis that I was just like, this makes me feel very uncomfortable. Whereas I actually think that the book was trying to have more commentary on the like rise in anti-Asian hate toward between like during COVID, but it ended up kind of like inadvertently paralleling the AIDS crisis stuff, which was like, which was like not another thing. And then there was of course the whole thing that, okay, now that we have this new class of like sleepless people, how are they going to be exploited in the capitalist machine? Because then you have these people who are basically able to do like 8 hours more labor every day because they're not sleeping, you know. So like there are all these like ideas and they weren't executed very well, and I was just like, oh no, this is just like what? And the main characters are all like these sort of very privileged, like working either in some sort of like big like journalist, like this sort of like kind of like Fox News, not Fox News, but like CNN type like journalism conglomerate, or like Wall Street people. And I'm like, whatever you're trying to say, I'm losing my inability to care because the science doesn't track, and all of the characters are kind of like looking at the problems from a very elevated ivory tower standpoint, which to me is like I can't. So I like let it go in like I think 60 pages or so. I was like I can't do this. But the science was the worst part, because you can't tell me that sleep doesn't do anything, like seriously. And now I'm reading I mean, obviously, still slowly working through Assassin of Reality. Someday I will finish it, but it's like I've noticed that it is, for my brain, just a kryptonite. The way it is written, it's just like very hard for me to focus on it. So I'm reading We Are Satellites by Sarah Pinsker, and this is actually very nice. It has 4 POVs. Chapters are relatively short, so it's just like, you know, very easy to dip in and out of. And the concept is really interesting. It's like this idea that what if everyone gets like this sort of enhancement that allows you to access like your working memory, and basically it simulates multitasking. And it kind of like discusses like how this would be disadvantaging, for example, people who are neurodivergent and disabled, like how people who can't get it like physically because of certain things, how they would get disadvantaged, and also like what it looks like when a technology that isn't fully tested gets like rapidly brought on to like the market and like adopted as part of like basically everybody adopts it, and how will that look like, and what happens to the people who have it installed but then there are complications and stuff. It's actually really interesting. So yeah, that's it for me. Those are the things I'm reading.
I have been reading things too. I just haven't been talking about them. So because I've been doing a lot of weaving, I'm about to mention the loom. Sorry, somebody made a joke about that earlier. I have suddenly switched to like wanting to listen to a bunch of stuff on audiobook. So I was suddenly like, I just need to listen to like sci-fi that's simple enough or narrated well enough on audio that I can like track it while I'm doing other things. So I binged through both of Stina Light's sci-fi novels, Persephone Station and Loki's Ring, the new one.
Yeah, I think the new one was something Loki something.
Loki Station? No.
No,
it was Persephone's. Now it's.
I think it's Loki's Ring.
Me.
Anyway, I remember these books because they have such gorgeous, like bright covers, and that like whenever I see.
It's Loki's Ring.
Okay. So yeah, I meant to read Persephone Station a couple of years ago when it came out. I never got around to it. So they're both pretty chunky sci-fi novels, and I listened to both of them on audio, and I thought they were okay. Yeah, that's my review. They were okay. Actually, I thought Loki's Ring was better. It deals a lot more with the basically the AI people in the story. Like it's a world where AGIs or sentient children basically are a thing, and it deals a lot with like their personhood and their relationships, like the fact that AGIs are kind of raised like children by like a human who has them like mentally linked to them or something. And just that as part of family structures. And then it's just an adventure story with, you know, trying to rescue people and all of that. I liked it a lot more because it dealt with kind of a mother-child relationship that was very unusual. It just, yeah. It was memorable because of that, but I have nothing to say about Persephone Station. I can't even remember the characters' names. So
I
Yeah,
just
I
like
did
the
not
cover for
hear
that.
good things about Persephone Station when it came out, because it was also on my anticipated list because of the cover.
I think like the pitch, the marketing for Persephone Station was like gender flipped Magnificent Seven in space, and I think I may have missed a lot because I don't actually know what the Magnificent Seven are.
What is the Magnificent Seven?
Huh?
Damn,
What
stop
is it?
eating my needles.
I don't know either. What is the Magnificent?
Isn't it a Western?
Yeah,
It's
like
a Western.
it's a Western spin-off of Seven Samurai.
Yeah, it's like
Okay.
7 gunfighters hired by Mexican peasants to liberate their village. It is from 1960, the original, and it is a spin-off. It's a Western spin-off of the 7 Samurai.
I got the feeling with the way that the characters were introduced that each of them was kind of that gender flipped version of something from the Magnificent Seven, just from the way it was written. But I had no idea who it might be referencing, so I was just like, okay, but this person is, you know, this particular set of traits and diversity characteristics, and this is their job, like their specialty. Yeah.
Yes, I remember the Magnificent Seven 2016 version was
Was it 2016 version?
there was a 2016 version of it that had like Chris Pratt and Denzel Washington and Ethan Hawke. I remember it because like I went to watch it because it has Lee Byung-hun as one of the leads, and he was treated atrociously by everyone involved. Like,
Oh.
yeah, like he received
The
a lot of
actor
like
or the character?
the actor.
Oh.
The actor, like he
That's
has
even worse than.
yeah, he's come out like saying that kind of like his experience in that set and also in the set of Red, well, like kind of like in any way, like in terms of like working in Hollywood, kind of opened his eyes to like the anti-Asian racism in the Western movie industry. And after that, you started to see, because he was making waves in trying to like move towards like appearing more in like Hollywood films, and now he's like back doing like big roles in like K-dramas and like, you know, Squid Game and like stuff like that. Because like clearly that experience was not very fun for him. Which is understandable.
So anyway, so Brett, I wouldn't necessarily highly recommend Persephone Station, but I definitely felt like Loki's Reign was a more interesting story overall. But then, yeah. I also decided I needed to get into another cozy mystery, like fun series to listen on audiobook, because I've run out of most of the newer stuff to read by Nancy Warren, she of the Vampire Knitting Club. Actually, I did just get the audiobook of the Vampire Knitting Club Cornwall spinoff, so I'll be starting that. But
there's a Cornwall spin-off.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean,
anyway.
To be fair, I stopped reading the books when I noticed that my ship was sinking faster than the Titanic.
Who did you ship?
Okay, so I actually shipped like the main character with the, you know, the detective, not the vampire guy.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That ship sunk before it even really got off the harbor. Like it had no like hope.
Yeah.
Hold on a moment. We have a visit from the jam.
Is it a Jammy?
Was it a jam?
Oh. I'm sad Leia left. So we can't have kitty twins.
Hello.
Oh, jammies.
She's so cute.
She's very cute. You may continue.
Sorry, my brain just completely just.
Jammy Cam.
I will try to continue speaking, but clearly all the attention is on Jammy, who very much deserves it. Just
Queen Jam. See,
look
all of the
at that
cats made
fur, look at
appearances
those
today.
cheeks. Oh,
Every single possible cat made an appearance today.
Oh.
It is truly a wonderful stream.
yes.
Now we just need an Ava.
We need an Ava.
My honorary cat, aka the cat dog, is outside, so she will not be making an appearance.
Aw.
She will not come inside.
An adventurer.
Well, to be fair, Ava has made many appearances.
She's much shyer than
Guest
the
spotting
cats are.
for Hermes.
Yeah. The cats are always very curious and they show up eventually. Ava's just like, you're talking at a computer for 2 hours. I'm going to go sleep in your bed.
I feel like, at least for Luke and Leia, it's the chaos factor of it all, because I'll be on a work call and every single time Luke will show up on Zoom, he's like, "Oh, mother, it is time for me to be here and be cute and demand attention." And then Leia will show up and be like, "It is time for me to walk across the screen and make it so no one can see you because of the virtual background that you use showing up on my fur instead of your face showing up."
With Hermes, he's like, he's very much like just leaves me alone, except when I'm on work calls. Because for some reason, when you introduce a laptop into the scenario, he's like, "Oh, a place for me to lay down. A warm place for me to lay down. Thank you for that, mother."
Cats. Oh.
They're
All right,
lucky.
what was I saying?
Reading Persephone Station. Loki's ring was better.
Oh, in the mysteries. Yes. Okay. Yes, Joe, I will let you know how the Cornwall edition is and if it's worth your time. Because for some reason you followed me down that rabbit hole.
I mean, I would have followed, okay, Rachel, I think having read, 9 or 10 of the Knitting Club books,
You made it almost all the way to
I
the
made
end.
a valiant effort.
Yeah. I mean, the last 3 were pretty much all the same, like from a character arc way. Like they'd already, established what was going to happen to all the characters and everything. It was just, the murder mystery of the week, and these people are making eyes at each other, but they're not married yet. Anyway,
I
in
just
case you
did
didn't know,
not
the
like the main
Vampire
vampire
Knitting
guy.
Club books, like everything by Nancy Warren, is incredibly PG. They're murder mysteries, but they're very clean. I don't know.
See, I would probably want the cozy mystery with like some spice.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I can always see the parts of the books where I'm like, this is where if it wasn't intentionally so PG, it would get a little bit spicy. But pretty much all you get is he hugged her or pecked her on the cheek, and there's no like real violence or gore or anything either. So
essentially books that my mother would love.
Probably. I mean, there's a reason why I like them, because they're so incredibly low stakes. But anyway, because I'm mostly caught up on everything by Nancy Warren, her audiobooks show up at the library very slowly. I think she's like Kindle Unlimited locked in or something. So I've been trying to search for something in the same vein. And I went through my little hat phase early in the year, if any of you remember the hat books that I was trying to read.
Yes.
And when I kept searching for books about hats, I would get nothing except for children's books, because apparently hats is the topic for storybooks, picture books. And then I found.
I mean, I've been looking for a good nonfiction book about hats for years. to read yet.
I am too. So quick side tangent. I got one of the Dover publications. It was some book from the 70s on historical headwear, and I read like a quarter of it, and it was like this. It wasn't even really a fashion history.
Well,
It was
let me know if you actually find one.
I will.
That looks good, and we can buddy read it.
Mm-hmm. But I guess millinery is not a topic for like micro histories, and I am astonished.
Well, I was surprised because when I took my one fashion history course in college, this was when I was realizing that I was very into hats in general, and I just sort of started writing all of my papers on hats, like I made the topic be about hats. And like just finding not as much very specific information in my research as I was expecting, and like finding that the professor did not know as much when I asked him questions about hats as I was sort of expecting a professor to know on that subject. And yeah.
You know, what I haven't looked into is if anybody on CostTube is particularly into making hats.
I mean, I found this Hat Origins Language and Style by Drake Stutzman.
Not heard of that one.
Which was published in 2019.
Hmm.
But a lot of like, just from looking at a brief glance, a lot of the hat books essentially are more about, like, they're not about the history of hats or like history of styles.
They're more about,
here's how you make hats.
There was maybe one that was published several years ago that was like very specifically a book about like the Edwardian hats and the birds that were hunted for them.
Yeah.
The Feather Thief or something like that.
I don't remember.
There's a particular book that people keep mentioning to me, and I want to say it's actually a novel, but it's on the topic of the feather industry or something.
There was a nonfiction one.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, I need to get around
about in the comments of one of my videos, and I never checked it out.
So yes, I'm still trying to find things about hats, and but while I was searching, I came across the Hat Shop Mysteries.
Oh boy.
There's a Millinery Cozy Mystery series.
By Jen McKinley, I think that's the author's name. So I read the first two books. The first one is Cloche and Dagger. And the second one is Death of a Mad Hatter. And yes, it does feature an Alice in Wonderland tea party where the main characters are commissioned to make fancy hats for some of the people who are hosting it. Anyway,
but they're not speculative fantasy stories?
No, these are just straight up contemporary cozy murder mysteries.
I don't read
but yes, it's about two cousins. One is American, one is British, and the American cousin goes to live with her cousin in London and work in her hat shop, which they inherited jointly from their grandmother. So yeah, a lot of it takes place in their hat shop, and there's a lot of selling hats to people and stuff.
I like that I went down to look at the hat shop mystery things, and then it's like Goodreads members who liked this book also liked other books, and there's this one called Premeditated Peppermint, which is an Amish candy shop mystery.
No.
And I'm like, what? What? Then there's the Lighthouse Library Mystery, which is about...
I read the first ones of those. They were cute.
Booked for Trouble. What is this? A Fairy Garden Mystery. This seems like a Kelsey thing.
Yes.
A Sprinkling of Murder is the first book.
I think the same author has a librarian's murder mystery series that's kind of connected to the hat shop. Like it exists in the same universe. So I know what I'll be trying next, of course. So that's what I'm into. I don't think the series is very long. I want to say it was on hiatus for a while because of publishing issues, and it's been resumed in the past couple of years. So there may be 6 or 7 books out. And for some reason, my library has all of them on audio, and I quite enjoy them that way. So I'm reading those.
Are you guys seeing this cat?
She's just chilling.
I know, she's so cute. And then
So cute. She's so
I love
cute.
it. And what else? What am I currently reading? I started Some Desperate Glory by Emily Tetch.
Nice.
This is
I want that.
her
I'm
first
very
sci-fi
curious
novel.
about that.
How far into this am I? Okay, I'm 4 chapters into it. I'm not that far into this book, and I don't know how I feel about this. So the main character is a young woman from this like incredibly isolationist, almost like fascist totalitarian state in space, like, and she is awful. I mean, awful. But I think the story is supposed to be about how somebody eventually escapes fascism, escapes that ideology and thinking that way. So I'm
So
trying
like
to continue on with it.
de-radicalization.
But my problem is that because of like the ages and the behaviors of the characters, it feels very much like teen fiction. But I think it's actually adult sci-fi. It's just I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get past the main character, to be honest. Like it's seems like it's well written, it's a good story, but sometimes you just don't want to be around somebody.
I
So-
mean, I did read the Greenwood duology.
It's nothing like those. It's
No, but
absolutely
I'm saying
nothing
that
like
the
those.
second book, the main character being a complete and utter asshat was what deterred me from liking it as much as the first one. Because
the second book was not as good as the first one.
and I
I
don't
liked it, but it was very
I have
different.
just like only positive feelings.
Yeah, but I my feelings about the second book were mostly because like I didn't think that the character's assholey behavior was really addressed, and he showed no remorse.
Mm.
And I'm not saying that he should have shown remorse. It's just that the narrative didn't really make it clear to the reader that, you know, this kind of behavior was really sucky of him, and then he gets rewarded at the end for all of his sucky behavior. So in that sense, I'm very glad to know that if this book is also having a similar assholey main character, that I will adjust my expectations.
Yeah, I've heard mixed things about this. Which
There is a list of content warnings at the beginning of the book, and I would say take them seriously, because those are all content warnings about the society at the beginning and about the way the main characters think initially. And I think that's why it's been so difficult for me is being in the head of somebody who like is truly awfully violently xenophobic. Not cool.
Someone asks in the comments I'm about to read The Goblin Emperor. Question for who read it. Have you guys liked it?
Adored it.
The Goblin Emperor by Catherine Addison is one of my favorite books of all time. So
Yes.
there
I've
is
been
that.
meaning to reread it for years.
Do it. I
It's
reread it and I
so
consumed it in
good.
24 hours, and I was like, why do I not read this every year?
Yeah, I mean, the previous time I reread it was like during early COVID, because like that's when I read Swords Point and a lot of books that were my like, you know, comfort reads and stuff. I will say that The Goblin Emperor isn't necessarily very it kind of has pitfalls when it comes to depicting race. For example, when it depicts the goblins, it kind of it kind of draws some inspiration from like Jewish stereotypes and propaganda.
Well, the way
but-
it's written, it's meant to be set in a society that is racist against the characters who are described as goblins.
Yes, I was about to come to that.
Yes.
But
And-
that said, that I'm just like, because Maya is the only character who is there to address it or confront it, and he is a character who has been raised in said society, so he has a lot of internalized racism that he deals with. So there isn't really a lot of like voices that are like well adjusted.
Yes,
One
he's
of the main
goblins.
things-
very much alone.
It's one
Yeah.
of the main themes of the book, and the question is whether or not you feel that it's handled well enough.
I think it's handled well. It's just that I think that it is good to know
Right.
that that's what there is when you go into it, because I've seen so many people that they read the book and they come out of it with negative expectation or negative reading, because the expectation was that it will be more upfront about confronting all the racism.
Interesting. So I'm remembering what the sort of discourse was around it when the book was newer.
Yeah, but the
Yeah.
thing is that there's a new discourse now,
There's new
because
discourse, which
because
is very
TikTok is
interesting.
finding it now.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why I always wish there was a direct sequel to The Goblin Emperor, because I wanted to see more of Maya and, frankly, the other side of his family that he
Yes.
never got to even meet until he was an
Yes.
adult. And I thought, well, how might
I want
that...
to see Maya's grandpa.
I know,
Like, because he
and-
was an interesting character, and he was there barely for a second,
Yeah,
but like
yeah.
I would have been
So-
also interested to see a prequel about the courtship between, not necessarily like from the point of view of Maya's mother, but like from the
Oh.
point of view of someone in her retinue or
I think
something
would
like
be
that.
a really tragic and
Yeah.
sad story. I don't know if
Probably.
I want to read that.
But I would be interested in reading like a short story or something about that.
So with the later books that are set in the same world, the oh my gosh, was it the Cemeteries of Amalur series
Yeah.
or something
But
like that?
those are also from the point of view of the elves.
It's from the point of view of the elves. One of the things I think is very interesting is it's set a little bit later, but still within the time of Maya's reign. Maya isn't a character in them, but that he is emperor is acknowledged in it. And because it's sort of set lower in society, you see a lot more of, the goblins and half goblins and stuff in the society, and you learn more about their backgrounds and their ways of life. And I think that's really interesting. And like the long term, if there will be more discourse in that series about like the racial tensions in the city and stuff because of Maya being the emperor.
Yeah.
So I think because I don't think there will ever be a sequel to The Goblin Emperor, like with Maya as a main character. I think it sort of stands on its own, but it would be really, really fun to see a continuation of like how he grows as a ruler and his policies and stuff, like the impact he can make on the world through the viewpoint of the other series.
I would have said that as well, but we're also now getting a new like Murchison Booth story collection, like a sequel to The Bone Key, which Sarah Monette wrote previously. So we're getting like that was picked up by a publisher. I think it's gonna be published by Tor actually. But yeah, that's coming. So I'm hopeful.
There is a third book in the Cemeteries of Amalur series announced. I think it's slated for next year, so it will be continuing. I'm
just happy she's writing.
Yes. Yeah.
Because like I remember back in the day when I was reading Doctrine of Labyrinths.
I've never read anything else by her except for the books in this world, so maybe I will do that at some point.
I will say, like, these are, like, I know the covers are hideous, but I can never get rid of these. Do you know how much these hardcovers will cost?
Oh my god.
If I wanted to sell them, like $300 per piece.
Melusine is one of those novels that Goodreads has perpetually recommended to me since the very first day I signed up for the platform.
Yes, these were like back when I was graduating high school, I was wanting to get back into reading and I was wanting to improve my English. And these were the books that I accidentally stumbled upon Sarah Monet's website, and she had the first chapters of the second book up, and I read the second book's like starting chapters and was like, these are cool. I will buy the books. Yes.
Oh, I'm not the only one, Glenn. Okay. It must be that everything I read is somehow connected to Sarah Monet or to
I
that
will
book
I
in
will
some
say
way.
that if anyone ever wants to read the Melusine, content warnings are that there is like a very significant and graphic essay scene at the very start of the book,
Okay.
and the
No.
entire first two books are basically deconstructing the trauma of the main character and the PTSD that he's suffering because of that, while at the same time he's trying to like navigate his way back to like being like in a place of like
It can be very tough.
politics and stuff.
I loved A Strange and Stubborn Endurance, which was kind of the same plot structure there.
Yeah, I recently read that, and I noticed the parallels. First of all,
Oh,
I will say that I don't want to go to the place where I compare it to A Taste of Gold and Iron, which I actually liked better. But I will say that there's this thing where everyone was pitching it to me that this is like the slow burn of like, you know, how these characters are. It's 7 days.
it's not a slow burn. A Taste
The
of Gold and
entire-
Iron is an
Which book are
incredible
we-
slow burn.
No, I'm talking about the
I
Foss
know, I
Meadows
know.
book. The
But
Foss Meadows book. 7
It's
days
not.
is the
It's not a slow
timeline.
burn.
And also everyone in that book is very psychotic when it comes to like murder. Like everyone just brushes things off like, yeah, this character got killed.
Content
And then
warning,
another
the first
character
book,
got
well,
killed
that was
in
the
your
most
bed
awful
chamber.
thing.
No big deal.
Yeah.
That's the
Lust
fourth
after each
wing.
other. That's like seriously, like I was kind of like not disappointed, but I was kind of like scared to like what, because like I see all of like friends and everyone be like the Foss Meadows book like was one of their favorites, and there I'm like,
I
do
liked
not
it.
like
It wasn't
as
like a
much.
new favorite for me. It was fine though. I'll read the sequel.
Mhm.
Yeah, same. It was fine. It was just like I had bigger expectations for it,
I
and
think
it
what-
didn't
what
quite
I
live up
found,
to the expectations.
Interesting about I'm always interested in how authors start series, especially if they don't know if they'll like get a book deal for the sequel when they're writing the first book, and like I don't know if that was the case for this one or not.
Mhm.
But you find just like very very interesting ways of like starting a series while arguably still being a standalone. And for me, it felt like the whole main plot of A Strange and Stubborn Endurance was kind of a throwaway, because the main plot was this murder, assassination, mystery, conspiracy plot that didn't actually end up relating to like the big picture political stuff, which is what I assume the main point of the series is going forward. So like there was a setup.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And then we didn't get the follow through on that setup. We got this whole other standalone spin-off plot.
Yeah, and the thing is that I was like the politics was kind of like I wanted more of it, and I wanted to be better established, because like when the ending climax of that book appears and you're kind of like, okay, there are these moments that on hindsight that they were foreshadowed, but it still kind of comes off as a like, oh, well, this came a little out of left field, and like it's like there wasn't enough established in the like dynamics of the characters to make it make like complete sense why this certain character then acts in the way that they do, which was kind of for me a little bit of a letdown. And also because of this, it undermines the actual like romance and sexual tension, because then I'm like, dude, keep it in your pants. There's like murder and mayhem happening. So, like constantly
romance right now.
like I would be so like uncomfortable, like please, like don't touch me, don't touch
Okay,
me.
Rhea,
It's like the third time someone tried to kill me.
You would deeply dislike Fourth Wing because there was literally a section where like Violet's like, oh, maybe like this place just makes doubt, like everyone just seems like so immune to the death of people, like someone just died, and then literally the next paragraph is Xaden's hot.
Can I say I had this same sort of sequence of thoughts reading Kaiju Preservation Society, where there's a major character death late in that book, and it feels like everyone kind of brushes it off very quickly.
I don't even remember who died.
Well, that's good. Now you don't get to spoil it because you don't even remember, and that's how much it mattered.
Like, you guys aren't behaving very traumatized. Like, and I mean, like, is that a thing with Scalzi? Because I also feel like the one other book of his that I read, The Collapsing Empire, like, there was at least one character death that I was like, okay, we're moving on.
Yeah.
I have not read enough Scalzi to know if that is a thing. So someone who has read more Scalzi can enlighten us.
I thoroughly enjoy most things that I read by John Scalzi. I super enjoyed the Kaiju Preservation Society. It was just like brain candy at a time that I needed that. But his characters are often very similar, and they all kind of behave in the same ways. And I don't think there's a ton of emotional depth, even if there is some very inventive cursing.
Yep.
Anyway, we have gabbed an incredible amount of time about what we're reading, and we're coming up on our 2-hour mark. I haven't even finished talking about what I was reading. We already talked about media. I'm sorry.
We didn't even get to the media part.
Wow. So let me finish really quickly.
Wait, do we have both Leia and Jamie here to be twins?
Yes.
Of each other?
Yes.
Yes.
Leia, go
So
say
anyway,
hi to your twin.
I am onto volume 3 of A Bride's Story by Kaoru Mori, which I read the first 2 volumes. I loved them.
Yes.
And then I realized reading more about the series that it completely switches to this other character. And I'm like, but do I care about him?
Well, it switches, it's only like a few volumes, and then you kind of like
Do we get back to Amir at some point?
Yes, we do get back, and there's a lot of politicking about that, but it's kind of like because Kaoru Mori wants to show the breadth of culture.
I'm really interested in the culture. I just wasn't sure if I would like following the adventures of this.
And it's also like you're not necessarily like following
Westerner.
Him specifically.
Well,
like he is
it seems
just
like-
a narrative vehicle for introducing you to all the other women specifically
Okay.
in all
well,
these other places.
I will be continuing on with the series, so that's I'm really into
It's
that.
one of my favorite series, like manga series, and like the like attention to detail that Kaoru Mori has when she presents like historical like she's so like done so much research into that time period, and it's actually set in the same time period as her previous manga series Emma. So it's basically the Victorian time period, but this is more in the Silk Road, like basically before, like during the Russian Revolution, around that time. But basically, it's gearing up towards the Russian Revolution, and like during the switch between Victoria and Edward the whatever number,
Whatever.
6.
Yeah.
like and basically around that time. So like there is a lot of like interesting things where it shows you about all of these different bridal traditions in the area, and like the like practice of Islam, and then also like how those cultures kind of work when they're sandwiched between the Russian Empire and then increasing influence from the West, because British are colonizing areas of like China and stuff at the same time. So it's like, I have thoughts about Bright Story. It is one of my favorite series of all time. I have all the volumes that I'm collecting, so you know, I'm very happy whenever someone picks it up. So
I will be requesting the whole series of interlibrary loans. So hopefully the interlibrary loan librarian who processes my stuff will notice and will just submit the requests for me, which is something that she does every once in a while.
Also, if you want to buddy read them, because like I'm always up for rereading. So if you want to like read them together, I can do that, because like I have all the volumes anyway. So
yeah,
and I love it. The art style is just beautiful.
I'm enjoying the art and just the gorgeous depiction of the lavishly embroidered textiles and everything. This is why people recommended the series to me. They're like,
Yes.
you know, it has a lot about textiles in it. Yes, it does.
There was also, was it in the, I think it was in the second volume, when there was that whole chapter dedicated to the person who's carving, you know, the doors and stuff.
That
And
was
then-
the first volume.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
the
first
little boy
volume.
who's just watching him. I was like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I had no idea that this was part of their tradition. It's like, I want a door that looks that fantastic.
Yes. And just
And-
like you can see the like art depicting like the carving and stuff, and I'm like,
Mhm.
how are you so talented?
It's
Ma'am,
great.
how are you this talented?
All right. So that is it for me and books, and we are almost out of time. So does anybody have quick thoughts on media that you want to share?
I have been watching a new K-drama called The Queen's Umbrella, which has Park Bora in it, who is one of my favorites actresses. It is a period drama about a queen who is desperately trying to get her 5 children, who are all unruly princes, to like basically get them out of this, trying to maneuver them in a way that they won't get killed in the political maneuverings of the court. And there's like succession crises and stuff like that. It's been entertaining. Not like the best, but I've been binging it. I only have 1 episode to go and then I'm done.
I watched the new Hannah Gadsby special on Netflix, which I'm blanking on the title of. This one is the self-described feel-good one, and it actually is. So, mostly.
Mostly.
So that was delightful because I had been unaware that that was happening. Also, in the past month, Eurovision happened, and I was very
Oh,
excited
yeah.
as an American to get to vote for the first time as part of the rest of the world televote. The rest of the world counted as one country in the popular vote, and we didn't get a jury, but I got to vote. I voted for Moldova. They did not. Who won again?
Answer to Ramsey's question, the series in question was Crash Course into Romance.
Crash Course into Romance.
Yeah,
Oh.
let's put it this way. Just a quick note about the Eurovision. My country is still pissed. We are in a state of mourning.
That they came
And
in
also we
second
lost
or
in the
that they
ice
didn't
hockey.
win?
Well, it's like here's the thing. we lost to Sweden in the Eurovision, and then immediately the next Monday there was an ice hockey nationals championship between Finland and Sweden in the like
Oh no.
pre semifinals, and we lost.
Oh,
So it's like a double whammy.
Insult to
I'm so
injury.
sorry for your loss.
Yes. We're going through it. And now we got like dropped. But the best thing is we got dropped from the ice hockey championships. But so did Sweden. So it's all good now. Because it's as long as Sweden doesn't win, it doesn't matter if we lose as long as Sweden doesn't win.
See, in Eurovision, I'm always rooting for countries that have no chance. Because, like, my favorites this year were Moldova and Portugal.
My favorite was Norway. I was rooting for Norway.
I gave her a couple of votes. She did well in the final, better than in the semifinal. I think her vocals were rough in the semifinal.
But yes, the national disappointment is palpable still.
I'm sorry.
I apologize to Finland.
I'm still showing that
I
song
that
to
song.
random friends to get their reactions.
I'm still scared of that weird green garment thing.
Did you know that Duolingo had the weird green garment thing on their mascot now? Have you tried your Finnish lately? And it had the our Eurovision, like the Duolingo owl was dressed
Is it only
as
in
our
the Finnish course?
Yeah, my friend showed it to me today. Like she had gotten the reminder that have you practiced your Finnish, and it was the Duolingo owl dressed as our Eurovision entry guy. And I'm like, I'm ready for this hype to die down, please.
I don't understand that clothing choice. I don't know.
It's
what did I
very
say?
camp.
Discount Hulk costume or something? Like, no.
It's very camp.
Die.
The only show. So I still need to watch Star Wars Visions Volume 2. I just have not been in a super like my Star Wars like time has been spent playing Jedi Survivor, which is fantastic. I platinumed the game a few days ago. Highly recommend. So I also still need to finish the Mandalorian finale. I was really meh on this season though, so I haven't watched it yet. But the one thing I have been keeping up with is the new season of Top Chef on Bravo, and it is great. It has been so long since I've kept up with Top Chef Live, and it is World All-Stars season, so you have contestants from a bunch. So you have some American contestants, but you also have contestants from around the world. And so, like, right now, my least favorite chef got told to please pack his knives and go. So I'm really happy that he didn't go to Paris for the finale because I was shocked that no one knifed him for taking up most of the budget on a team challenge for his shitty dish. But I like I like the finale contestants, and I'm really interested to see who's going to end up winning, because I think there's one contestant where I was a little shocked they got in because they've been on the bottom so many times, but you only just need like one good day, or like someone to have a worse day, which is what this contestant had repeatedly. But yeah, it's good. I like it. I like my cooking competition shows.
Nice.
Also, Star Trek Strange New Worlds is starting up in a few weeks.
Oku Inner Chambers anime is starting in a couple of days, which is what I am probably going to start watching.
No idea about that.
Yeah, I heard about it that the anime adaptation was coming in like I heard about it like 3 months ago, but I was thinking that maybe like end of the year at the earliest, and now it's already here. Like streaming on the 29th. Like, wait, what?
The list of things that I need to finish watching or start watching, especially on Netflix, is getting very long. So I feel like I need to start scheduling like media Saturdays with friends. So
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, one thing I will say about Eurovision before we finish. Having Graham Norton shush the audience and tell us that we know you like Finland. I now feel like we have been validated on a world stage, and I
Okay.
need nothing more.
Oh, good. Glad that
I
was
can survive
validating for you.
everything else. That was like the personal victory for me.
Oh my gosh. All right, we are basically at the end of our time, so I apologize for missing out on our other usual topics, but yeah.
At least we were gabbing about fun stuff.
I know! We had a
It
good
was fun
discussion
and
about what we were reading
relaxing
this month.
and
I like that.
enjoyable, and I got not nearly enough sewing done because of this little Jamma Bean.
Hey, worth it.
Yeah.
She really is just happy to sit there.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's like, this is
She's
like,
very like Esme in this way. Like, you remember Esme would also do this during live
Mhm.
streams. And yeah, this is I sort of described the Esme temperament as my ideal cat temperament to the rescue, and behold, they found me another one.
I mean, yeah, Hermes would never let me do that. Like, he will sit on my lap, but if I try to, like, you know, he just doesn't like to be, like, handled. Like, I can't lift him up and pick him up. He needs to come sit on my lap, and he accepts pets. But if I try to like actually like lift him or something, he will just walk away and be like, "No, thank you."
Yep. All right. Should we wrap up by letting everybody know again where to find us, or just say goodbye?
You can find me at my channel, The Bookfinch, whenever I finally return out of my hiatus and produce content. For now, you will find me during these Stitch and Bitches. Also, in Instagram, I have been posting when I go to concerts. With recently, I went to see Sabaton and Baby Metal, so Baby Metal was great.
How do you say the name of that other band? Lordi?
Lordi.
Lordi?
Lordi,
Okay.
yes.
I actually know who they are, but only because didn't they win Eurovision and everyone
Yes,
was like,
they
on
That's
stage.
the only song of theirs I know, but it's incredible.
I don't even know the song. I just know their costumes.
They played it. They closed their set in the concert with the Hard Rock Hallelujah and said that this next one isn't cha cha cha, and everyone was like,
oh,
referencing. And also Sabaton apologized for Sweden winning Eurovision.
oh
So
my
you know.
God. Okay. All right. You can also find me here on this channel whenever I happen to pop in. I will next probably appear in the Stitch and Bitch in June on Rhea's channel. And at some point, I will try to schedule a Hugo Shortlist live show, which may be here on my channel. We don't know yet. So that's where I will be next.
I'm at the Fancy Hat Lady Reads here on YouTube, also on TikTok, where I did some Eurovision related book recommendations earlier in the month. So I've been making content on multiple platforms, lots of videos. Very exciting.
You're on a roll.
On a roll.
It's very inspiring for those of us who are taking a break.
And you can find me at Bookish Die. I should have a video going up tomorrow once I finally edit my April wrap up 3 days before May ends.
Hey, as long as it's coming, so you know it's fine. It's fine. Deadlines are arbitrary anyway.
That is true.
Yep.
Deadlines are fake.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for a very enjoyable May Stitch and Bitch. I love doing this month. This was great. And we will be back next, for sure, on Rhea's channel. We will let you know more details probably on Twitter. And yeah, enjoy the rest of May.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.